Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's DealerOn webinar, How to Turn Mobile Browsers into Buyers. My name is Eliana Raggio, and I'll be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by DealerOn. For anyone who isn't familiar with DealerOn, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency, best known for our amazing SEO, the best customer service, and the highest converting website designs in the industry, including the award-winning Chameleon responsive website platform. We got back from NADA earlier this year, and we were awarded the Driving Sales Dealer Satisfaction Award for top-rated websites for an unprecedented 6th year in a row. We also took home the AWA Award for Best Websites for a 3rd time. Plus, FCA announced that we're now an approved vendor. We're still the only company in the industry that offers a money-back lead guarantee program. Do you want to know more? Yeah, you do. You can check us out at DealerOn.com. Also, DealerOn is going to be exhibiting and presenting at the upcoming Digital Dealer Convention. We have the best booth around, so stop by booth 305. We're going to have all kinds of prizes and surprises there, and to top it off, we'll toss in a copy of our new book that we wrote on local SEO. And while you're getting your digital dealer on, please check out the speaking sessions from The Beard and the Hair. That's right, Greg Gifford and Sean Rains will both be speaking at Digital Dealer. Remember, it's booth 305, and I hope to see you there. We have a great show in store for you today. We have first-time DealerOn webinar presenter Owen Moon as our presenter today. Owen Moon is the CEO of CarClick360.com, which provides dealerships of all sizes with proven mobile strategies to reach serious car buyers who are on the go. CarClick360.com recently won the 2016 Dealer Marketing Magazine's Technology Leadership Award in the Mobile Solution category for their Precision Mobile GPS Marketing Program. For over 17 years, Owen has been helping dealerships across the country with both traditional and digital marketing strategies. Recently nominated for the Automotive News Rising Star Award, Owen is also a content contributor for publications like Auto Success Magazine. He was a presenter at Digital Dealer 22 in Tampa, Florida, as well as the Digital Dealer workshops in both Cherry Hill, New Jersey and Chicago, Illinois. He'll also be able to be seen on the popular Mobile Marketing Minute video series online. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. And Owen brings a unique perspective to help dealerships reach more in-market car shoppers, turning them into buyers. He can be reached at Owen@CarClick360.com. By the way, Owen Moon is going to be presenting at the upcoming Digital Dealer Convention in Vegas, September 18th to the 20th. He'll be talking about geofencing versus geo-conquesting. You're not going to want to miss it. So for tickets or more information, visit digitaldealerconvention.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, we're going to try to respond by email later today. Don't forget, a link to download a copy of this webinar recording will also be emailed to you later today for your reference, and feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues. And guess what? Our good friends at CarClick360.com, they're giving away a sweet prize on today's webinar. One lucky attendee is going to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Cool prize, right? You have to be on the live broadcast to score this one, though, so stay tuned, and who knows, you could be the one walking away with this awesome prize today. Also, at the conclusion of this webinar, you're going to get a short survey. So fill it out because we're always looking for quality feedback from our audience, and we want your opinion to be heard. And hey, do you tweet much? We hope you do. We'd love to see what you have to say about today's presentation, so please tag us in it. You can use hashtag DealerOnWebby. I'm at Eliana Raggio. You can also hit up Owen Moon at Owen Moon. We look forward to seeing what you're saying. All right, everyone, let's get started. Let's learn how to turn mobile browsers into buyers. First-time DealerOn webinar presenter, Owen Moon. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Now,
great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're finally on my show. We've known each other for a number of years now, I think 2 or 3 probably. So it was great that I finally got to get you on my show. And what a phenomenal topic, because mobile is hot. There's no denying that. But how do you make that transition from just being something that people look at on their cell phones to someone who actually walks into your dealership? That is the trick we all want to know. So you have all the answers, and I know you have a lot to get to today. So why don't you tell the audience the kinds of things we're going to be learning about, Owen?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like you mentioned, the topic is how to turn mobile browsers into buyers. And, you know, some of the things that we're going to talk about today, my objective is hopefully if you can leave this webinar, you know, you'll have some things that you can take back to your digital marketing team, your general manager, anybody that helps make some of those decisions, and really look at some of the things that you're doing and make those adjustments to to really focus on that. So first, what we're going to do is we're really going to talk about who is today's mobile car buyer. There's obviously a lot of people online. They're shopping. They're doing their research. But a lot of that today is being done through mobile devices. So we're going to really kind of focus in on who is that mobile car buyer. We're also going to discuss today's mobile car buyer shopping behavior. Obviously, as people have started to move more towards smartphones and tablets and iPads and things like that, their behavior is changing, and so we're gonna talk a little bit about that. We're also then going to get into really some of the strategies, some of the mobile strategies that will help turn browsers into buyers. And for some of you, maybe you've tried some of these strategies and without success, possibly maybe the wrong strategies within that type of that tactic. Maybe these are things that you've looked into but just have never really known how to make them work for you. And so hopefully today I'll be able to bring some of that together for you, and again have some things for you guys to take with you and to implement at your store. And then the last couple of things, which I think is going to be the most fun, is going to be obviously doing the giveaway. I'd love to give somebody a gift card to Amazon. I think you can buy pretty much anything these days on Amazon. So hopefully you guys will use it. Whoever wins will use it wisely. It's not the lottery, but it is $100, right? And then
a little bit off from $700 million, but yeah, it's still fun to have.
Bit. We'll call it a consolation prize, right? I mean. And then finally, a question and answer session, and hopefully, as we kind of go through some of this information, it'll be a great question and answer session. I might be able to answer some of the questions that you've been dying to ask your vendors and things like that. So, that was kind of the objectives for today.
Let's do it. Where do we go from here?
Well, let's talk a little bit about mobile. So, look, let's just start at the basics, right? It's no secret, today's car buyers have gone mobile. We know that more and more people are using smartphones, tablets, iPads, things like that. And so what I really stress with not only my dealership clients, but as I'm talking at Digital Dealer and things like that, dealerships must think mobile first. It's kind of funny. I had a conversation with a dealer personnel one day, and I asked that person. I said, "How's your new website look?" And she got on her desktop, and she's like, "Hey, this looks great." And I said, "Have you ever looked at it on mobile?" And she goes, "Oh, I didn't even think about that." So everybody is always looking at their desktop because they're at their computer, they're sitting at their desk. They want to see what everything looks like, or doing whatever research they need to be doing. But I always tell dealers, start the other way. Look on your phone or your tablet first, see how that's showing up for that browser, that buyer, that shopper, and make sure that it's showing mobile first. That it's showing in the same aspect that you would in a desktop experience. So I think with that, Ellie, what I would like to do is start with our first poll question that kind of ties into this.
I think that's a great idea. All right, audience, your first poll question is on the screen now. We would love if you got involved in our poll question so that we could see what's happening in your dealership. All right, so the first poll question is, how well do you feel you are currently servicing today's on-the-go mobile buyers? Please select one of the following options. Oh, we always think mobile first. It's super important to us. We know it's critical, the whole mobile movement, and we know we need to be more mobile friendly. We need more help with our mobile strategy. Management hems and haws about the budget all the time. Ugh. Or our website shows up on phones. Isn't that enough? Once we get a majority of the votes in, we're going to close this poll and share the results. We want to know, how well do you feel you're currently servicing today's on-the-go mobile buyers? So the votes are coming in nice and fast. Thank you so much. And oh, look at that. We already got our first comment in. Well, thank you, Nate. I'll get to that in just a moment. We'll read that out loud. And then we're going to get to that. So, wow, wait till you see these results. Wow. Owen, wait. Audience, I know you're still collecting, getting those votes in, and I'm still getting those votes in. I'm collecting those votes. So hurry up and get those votes in. We're going to go for another 10 seconds or so, and then I'll close this poll down. How well do you feel you are currently servicing today's on-the-go mobile shoppers? All right, Owen. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
wait till you see these results. If you're ready, I will close this poll and we'll share these results.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. And share. All right, audience, here we go. So how well do you feel you're currently servicing today's on-the-go mobile buyers? 21%, so a fifth of today's audience basically, said that they always think mobile first, and it's super important to them and their dealership. Awesome. But the vast majority, 63% of today's audience, say that they realize mobile is critical, and they also realize that they need to be more mobile friendly. Wow. 17% of today's audience say that they admit they need more help with their mobile strategy, and no one answered the last two answers, so that's nice to know. And I do want to get to this comment from Nate. He says, data we have seen shows that less than 10% of buyers fill out forms or make contact with a dealer before visiting. Given all the tech you talk about, how do you recommend measuring the effectiveness of these campaigns, given that most may not convert on the site? So Nate, we're going to hold on to that because it sounds more like a question, and although it didn't have a question mark, so I didn't think it was a question, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. So Nate, you sit tight. We're going to get to that, and audience, send in those questions for our wonderful presenter. Wonderful presenter Owen, and Carolina says hours and directions gets clicked. That's right, it does. All right, so were you surprised by 63% of today's audience saying that they realize they need to be more mobile friendly?
Yes and no. I mean, obviously, more and more people are seeing mobile traffic coming through, their Google Analytics and things like that. I think what happens, though, and this is, with a lot of different things, dealerships are so busy, right? I mean, they're managing their business, they're running their business, and so when it comes to looking at certain things, approving things, they look at it, hey, that looks great, move on with my day. It's priority number 15 on the list. And so I think what happens is they forget that, hey, this is something that I need to look at on a mobile side as well. Because I'm not saying that the desktop or the more traditional shopping behavior is any less important, today, but I also think that you have to look at things through a mobile lens in order to in order to get the full perspective of what's going on. And so that's where getting the right consultant, maybe working with the right vendor, somebody that really has your best interest in mind, they're going to be able to kind of keep you on the path to that mobile shopper.
Okay, so you're going to teach us how to do that right now, right?
I'm going to try. So let's talk a little bit then who is today's mobile car buyer. And I think this is something that's very important. Statistics are, let's be honest, everybody's throwing around statistics, right? So I was looking for different statistics that I thought really kind of fit with this and could really impact a person's thought process as they're looking at this. So just to kind of get into a few I thought that were really important is that Pew Research Center did a research that about 77% of all Americans currently own a smartphone. I think that number is obviously rising tremendously. I mean, I think that number today probably is higher, even since this research has been done. More and more people, as I look at people in the restaurants and sitting at the bar and things like that, it's slowly gone from your flip phones to your smartphones. And pretty sure even my parents, a little older generation is obviously in the smartphone world these days as well. Another great statistic is that about 46% of car shoppers use multiple devices when researching online, and that was an Auto Trader study. That is, again, I think all these statistics are only as good as the study that was at that time. I think a lot of this stuff is constantly rising. It's definitely not going the other direction, right? But I think what makes that really important, especially in the context of this conversation, is what does your stuff look like on a smartphone? What does it look like on a tablet? And then what does it look like on a desktop? I think that's because they're using all those different devices. You have to be aware of those type of things. Because at the end of the day, it's about consumer experience. If you don't give them the right experience, if they, they're not going to their smartphone thinking, man, I'm on a mobile device today. I really hope I get the answers I'm looking for because I didn't go on my desktop. They're just living their life, right? I mean, they're just out looking on third-party sites, checking out your website, doing their research on independent sites. They're just trying to find the information that they're looking for, and they expect it to be seamless. They don't, again, they're not looking at going, man, I really hope I get the information because I'm on my iPhone. They're just going to get the information, and they expect it to be there. I think the third thing that's kind of important in this is that 67% of auto shoppers use both a smartphone or a tablet to do a research. So, it's not only one or the other, but they're using both of them to make those decisions and to find the information that they're looking for, and that was from an Edmunds study. And then last thing, and this is actually really cool, Placed Inc. Said that about 33% of auto shoppers actually visited a competitor based on a mobile ad seen while they were at another dealership lot. And I'll get into a couple of those strategies today. Obviously, we don't have all day to talk about this, but I think that is something that is growing, and I think it's something that is very important as you're trying to reach that low funnel shopper, somebody that is definitely in buying mode and ready to purchase. So so as we kind of move forward here a little bit, who is today's mobile car buyer? Let's just be honest, they're well connected. They've got a smartphone, they've got a tablet or an iPad. Chances are they've got a laptop or a Mac, and probably still have a desktop. I mean, I know when I'm at my house, I don't use my desktop at all. It's very rare that I'm on a desktop. I'm usually on my Android or I'm on a tablet, even on my laptop. But a lot of times my laptop can actually turn into a tablet. So, you know that these consumers today, and it's not just the millennials. I mean, I know millennials is kind of everyone thinks younger generation, but I think even the older generation today has been able to adapt to this type of technology, and so they're definitely well connected. Another thing I think that's very important about today's mobile car buyer is they're well educated. And I am a consumer just as much as I am a marketer, and so I take a lot of my habits when I'm looking for things and try to step back and say, okay, what did I do to get to the answer? And vehicle research, comparison shopping, checking reviews, it's very important. I'm actually in the market right now for my son, who's going to be a new driver soon, and I'm looking at some used cars for him. And I'm doing all of these things, and I'm actually checking reviews because I'm not looking for something new. I'm looking for something 5, 6, 7 years old for him, maybe even a little older. And I want to know what people are saying about those vehicles. Not only 7 years ago when they were new, but also over the last 7 years. Has there been a lot of recalls? Has there been any problems with the engine? Different things like that. And so I think today's mobile car buyer is definitely more educated than ever before. And so again, you want to try to hit those shoppers at all of those different touch points. And if you do that, I think it's you're going to get the results you're looking for. So when you talk about today's mobile car buying shopping behavior, I'm kind of joking on this slide, but I think it's also kind of true, right? You talk to your third-party website, you talk to your SEM provider, you talk to the guy that's doing your social media, and what do they tell you? Look, we got that car shopper, we put them on our website, or we put an AdWord in front of them, or we got them on Facebook, and we help you sell the car. More and more people I talk to, that seems to be the conversation. And I'm not going to call any one party out or any vendor out today in that aspect, but I really think that people actually believe that it's that straight of a line, right? Car shopper, third-party website, oh, we sold the car. Car shopper, Google AdWords, oh, we sold the car. And social media sold the car. When in reality, it actually looks a lot more like this. And I kind of had fun creating this graph, but this is probably a little closer, right? You got this car shopper, they go to Google, they find a website to do some research and compare, and then they're going to go down to a third-party website, and then they're going to go back to Google, and they're going to check some reviews. Then they might see an ad on social media that from a local dealership. They might then go to a mobile app and see an ad from somebody when they're checking the weather. Maybe they're kayaking with their friends and they want to know what the weather's going to be like, and all of a sudden they see an ad for a dealership or a car on a mobile app. And then that kind of prompts them to maybe engage with that ad and go to a dealer website, and eventually they sell the car. obviously, if you can, you see that graph, it's much more convoluted. It's the guy's all over the place, right? That shopper's not just going, oh, third-party website, sold the car. I mean, they really are using all of these different ways to get the information to get to a car sale. So kind of going back to, and I'll kind of touch on a little bit with Nate's question, this is the challenge, right? Who sold the car? Who is going to get credit for all that? Because at the end of the day, you really can't, in a lot of these cases, give 100% attribution. So what I always look at is I look at the media mix. Dealerships, I believe, must reach mobile car shoppers across multiple touch points to be effective and win the sale. So when it comes down to it, obviously you have to be able to look at analytics, set up the right goals and events and things like that inside your GA to be able to get the story, right, to find out what that shopper was doing, where they were going, that sort of thing. But I think at the end of the day, to have the right media mix is almost more important, because if you're getting traffic, if you're getting phone calls, if you're getting text messages and chats, if you're getting that walk-in traffic. If you're doing the right things in terms of your media mix, you're going to feel that at the sales level. And that's no different than it's ever been with television and radio. I mean, I've been in this business 17 years, and we used to do television, radio, and newspaper, and there was no way to track that stuff. So what you ended up doing is you ended up talking to your dealerships and saying, hey, how was traffic this weekend? Oh, great. We had people walking in with the newspaper ad. I had a ton of traffic. We know that we're running, television ads. Maybe that first week of the month we weren't running anything because we were getting commercials done, and shopper traffic was low. And so we would feel when the dealerships were busy, it's because we knew we were running advertising. Well, obviously today with dealerships being so indicted, or customers being so inundated with messages and ads and things like that, it's really tough. It's really tough to go, hey, that was 100% a reason why I sold the car. Now, to have the right media mix, I think is just as important as it's ever been. And I think that's where you have to look at, hey, where am I hitting people? And I'll get into that a little bit later with some of the strategies, but I think that kind of ties back to Nate's question. So with that, Eliana, I think it's a great time to go to our second poll question, and let's hear from the audience a little bit.
All right. I love that idea. All right. Right now, audience, we have a different kind of poll question. This is the kind where you select all the answers that apply. So if only one answer applies, that's fine, but we want you to select all that apply, all right? We want to know, what kinds of strategies are you currently using to attract mobile shoppers? So are you using a mobile-friendly website, geofencing, geoconquesting? Yeah, they're two different things, and I assume, Owen, you're going to get into the difference between geofencing and geoconquesting, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. And are you using something else, like, for instance, a mobile-friendly app or some kind of software or chat or video, mobile email, anything like that? If you're using anything else, we want to know that too, all right? Oh, and then, of course, there's a last answer, which is, oh, geez, none of these. So if you're one of those dealers, hey, let us know, all right? But we want to know, what kinds of strategies are you currently using to attract mobile shoppers, all right? So the votes are coming in nice and fast. Thank you so much. And like I told Nate and the earlier audience members that came in, if you have a question for Owen Moon, he's the CEO of CarClick360.com. Send those questions in. We will be getting to the Q&A session after his presentation. All right. So, Owen, if you're ready, these votes came in nice and fast. Audience, you are killing it today. Thank you so much. I'll close this poll and share the results if you're ready.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Audience, thank you so much for your votes. Here is what you had to say. So what kinds of strategies are you currently using to attract mobile shoppers? Well, overwhelmingly, 92% of today's audience say that they are using mobile-friendly websites. That's great. 35% of today's audience say they're doing some geofencing. 19% of today's audience say geoconquesting is what they're all about. And 85% of today's audience say that they have some other kind of mobile magic that they're using, whether it's a mobile-friendly app or mobile-friendly chat or mobile-friendly video or some kind of thing like that. 85%, so that's a lot. And then no one picked the last answer, which was none of these. So everyone here on this call knows that mobile is important and they're doing something but are they doing enough, Owen? That's what we want to know. So, Owen, hopefully those answers helped you out.
Yeah, I like the mobile website, obviously. I mean, that's half the battle, right? I mean, if you got, we almost 100% of people are, obviously said, okay, I want to, and I think today it's not just about a mobile website, it's about more of a responsive website, right? So, and providers like DealerOn and, other ones that are out there, they've done a great job of making sure that, that you're providing that type of service for dealerships, because as people, kind of gravitate between smartphone, iPad, tablet, and desktop, they want to be able to have a different experience, across all those different platforms. So I think that's great. Obviously the geofencing versus geoconquest, we're going to get into that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other, I think, is obviously there's, I do have some rural dealers, being from South Dakota and, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska. You run into a few guys once in a while that are still kind of like, well, I'm not totally, into, digital, and they may do some third-party sites, things like that. But I think overall with the, CRMs and things like that, I think you've got to be mobile friendly on that type of stuff. So good answers.
Good answers. And now I believe we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of this whole thing, right?
Yeah, this is the fun part, man. This is the part I love and deal with every day and work with dealerships. So let's talk a little bit about mobile strategies that will actually, kind of turn those browsers into buyers. And I think the first thing I really want to talk about is mobile GPS marketing. Obviously it's kind of one of those buzzwords. I've been in this space since about 2014 when I felt like I did a lot of the first year of this type of strategy. I was educating a lot more than running campaigns. I actually, funny, I still have a dealership. I still remember, I called him up, talking a little bit about this type of marketing, and he said, hey, listen, call me back in 6 months. I'm not the kind of guy that does anything first. I really pretty much said I'm not a leader, I'm a follower, and if I've got other dealerships in the market using it, I will give it a shot. And I kind of giggle because I'm like, this is actually more for the guy that's out in front of this, and they want to get that competitive advantage and that sort of thing. So now within mobile GPS marketing, there really is two types, and really what I kind of define mobile GPS marketing as the use of the phone's GPS or the mobile device's GPS, to target and advertise to potential customers. And that's the other thing that I kind of work with a lot of dealerships. I deal with a lot of dealerships every day that they're like, oh yeah, I'm doing something like that. I already have that type of product, that type of thing, and rightfully so, they might. But really, there's a couple different ways that I look at things. I look at, with mobile GPS marketing, there's really two sides of it. You've got what we call geofencing, and then you've got geoconquesting, and some people call that geoframing as well. Another word that I've heard used for geoconquesting is geoframing. But let's talk a little bit about geofencing. So, some of the things with geofencing that make it unique is that it requires someone to have their location services turned on to their device, right? And in a lot of cases, it requires someone to opt in. So they actually have to opt into like a mobile app or something along those lines. Now with geofencing, you typically use cell towers to correlate a location. So it's called cell tower triangulation, and it's a way for advertisers to find those location of those devices within that location, and then they're able to serve digital ads to devices that actually have gone into that specified area, and it's in real time. So if somebody is inside that geofence, they're going to see that advertisement, and it could be a few different ways. I've seen different ones, and I'll get into some of those in a little bit, but it's really more of a real-time solution, right? With geoconquesting, it's actually a little different. It actually requires a person to search the internet and receive an ad placement, and by the internet, I'm really tapping into more mobile apps. Mobile apps are kind of the big thing right now. I always say to people I talk with that really mobile apps have become today's newspaper. Back in the, I'll call it the old days, but it's not too long ago when people were using newspaper very heavily to advertise. They were going to the newspaper for many reasons, but one of the reasons they were doing is they wanted to check the local weather. Hey, what's the weather going to be like this week? You'd see it on forecasts. Also, interest stories. Maybe they have a lifestyle section and they want to check out things that are going on with food recipes and things like that, or read different articles. You've got your local sports and national sports. Those are very easy ways to go in and find out the sports scores from the night before, things like that. And then, just to kind of even take it one step further, you've got gaming, right? I mean, you've got crossword puzzles and stuff like that. So people were using the newspaper to get their information. That, it was a medium. They would go there, they would find their information, they would move on with their day. Well, as the newspaper slowly died away and people have gone more towards online, mobile apps have sort of replaced that. I use my AccuWeather app every day because I want to know what the weather's going to be like where I'm at. And, the nice thing about it is I'm getting stuff in real time now, and, they're giving me notifications as, thunderstorms are popping up and things like that. But it's still the same user experience, right? I'm still going out trying to find out what's going on with the weather. Even games, Angry Birds, I know is a very popular game. Sports games, baseball, backgammon. My kid loves backgammon. He always asks if he can use my phone to play backgammon. Those are the kind of the mind-numbing apps that people use just to kind of pass time if they're waiting for something. And then you got your sports apps like ESPN. I use the Score app a lot for when I'm out, I'm in the market doing things on a weekend and I want to see what's going on with my fantasy football team or NFL scores or whatever. So people are just using these apps as a way to sort of supplement what used to be done in the newspaper. The nice thing about it is with geoconquesting is it doesn't require someone to opt in. I mean, we use, with this type of strategy, they use a latitude, longitude to be able to target down to, a meter squared level. So it's getting down to a very, very small segment of the population. And in some cases, you can use real time, or you can actually get information of devices that were in that area up to 7 months ago. So you can actually create what I call a catalog or a CRM of devices that allow you to then go ahead and advertise to those people that have, been in that target area. And it doesn't have to be just competitor stores. I mean, I've used this type of strategy in a lot of different situations, and it's all based on what are the needs of the dealership and who they want to talk to. I think we just recently did one with a group that wanted to hit a baseball stadium, because they had a amateur baseball tournament going on for 2 weeks, and we had a Grand Slam savings event going on, so it kind of tied in. So we really wanted to hit those people that were in that area, and then follow them around and keep advertising to them. And then last thing, and I'll get into this a little bit down the, just briefly, is IP addresses. We can now collect IP addresses from devices and use that to advertise, on different websites, do display advertising, things like that. So a lot of this stuff is not necessarily new strategies, but because of the technology, you're able to really, hone down and get very granular on some of the things that you're doing and hit the right audience with the right message, which is really important. So, so what is geofencing? So just the definition is the use of GPS technology to create a virtual geographic boundary, enabling software to then trigger a response when a mobile device enters that particular area. So I kind of mentioned that before. It's more in real time, that sort of thing. So there's some companies out there, and I'm not going to promote any company today, but definitely do your research and find out which ones would be good for you. But there's ones that you can tap into your current website, and you can actually geofence, like say a competitor store. And if somebody does what I call showrooming, where a shopper visits your dealership website while they're at a competitor location, you can actually pop up a notification or something giving them a special message while they're at that store. Maybe it's a little meter beat price, maybe it's a down payment assistance, maybe you just want to talk about, hey, you've got over 300 of these different vehicles in stock where maybe the competitor has half the inventory. So that's a great way to use what I call geofencing. It's for showrooming, right? Somebody comes on to a competitor lot. They say, hey, I want to see what's going on with my competitor, with the other store that happens to be you, and now you're giving them an incentive to come over to your dealership. The next thing is push notifications, and a lot of this has to do with like mobile apps. As I mentioned, AccuWeather gives me notifications when certain things are happening inside the area I'm in with weather. Well, you can do the same thing with a mobile app. A lot of this is being done with service specials, right? So if you have a mobile app downloaded and somebody walks onto your lot, maybe you give them a service special. I do know that a lot of people are using apps every day and using different websites, and so if you're using apps, if you can get in front of that person while they're at a competitor store with some sort of a service special, it might entice that guy to come over and give your service department an opportunity. And so that's really the two ways that I've seen with geofencing that's worked, for dealerships to provide, additional information for a potential customer that's sitting at a location that is of interest. So the next thing then would be, what is geoconquesting? And the reason why I wanted to kind of separate them today is that, I talk to a lot of dealerships that always tell me, oh, we do geofencing. We're already geofencing, blah, blah, blah. And then to kind of find out that it's actually more that they're not actually geofencing. No, they are geofencing, but what we actually do is, what I like to do is a lot more geoconquesting. So that's where we actually create a virtual geographic boundary. We able to enable software to identify any current or past devices, and then we'll continue to advertise them even after they leave the target area. So they might be, in a dealership, say 30 days ago, but then, they're going to go to a restaurant with their family, they're going to go to a baseball game with their buddies, and now today they're sitting at work. If they're using different, different apps and things like that to get and live their life, we can continue to put your message in front of them multiple times, because multiple touch points is very important today. I think when I first kind of started in this industry, the number that I always heard was 7. If somebody heard your ad on the radio or saw your ad on TV 7 times, it was going to create that lasting impression. They were going to be able to kind of recognize it and say, oh, I've heard that before. Now I can come in and make a decision. Well, today with so many different touch points across multiple medias, that number is much larger. I've heard like 24 touch points is kind of the baseline. So what we do with this is, we really focus on trying to get more and more of your message in front of that consumer, because it's someone that we've identified that might be the right person, and so we're geoconquesting them out of a competitor store or out of another area and trying to get them to respond and come to your dealership. So that's really the difference between geofencing and geoconquesting. And ultimately, what we're really focused on is just trying to engage with consumers where they work, shop, live, and play. That's a great way to look at it. People, they're not always thinking about your dealership, right? They're not always shopping for cars. Sometimes they're just reading a story that they found on the internet, or they are shopping for clothes. So they're looking at different apps that they can see, different clothes layouts. Sometimes they are, though, on your lot, and they're actually looking at things. So, the different ways that we can get in front of those consumers when they're doing all the different, parts of their life, I think is very important. And then obviously, with geoconquesting, as I kind of mentioned, we're advertising on a network of the most popular mobile apps. I use this graph as more of a kind of like, here's a small sampling, because if you look at the categories, I think everybody fits into this. Utilities and productivity, travel, business and education, family and parenting, lifestyle, shopping, social networking, games, sports, arts and entertainment, health and fitness. These are all things that are important to certain people. And so what we don't want to do is limit the number of exposures. So we just say, hey, anybody that has an app that allows us to do advertising on, let's try to get in front of that person while they're sitting there, on those different apps. And this is kind of just an example of sort of how that looks, right? I mean, a lot of weather apps, you got Pandora, but this would be similar to the type of ads, because we are doing custom banner ads in a lot of cases, or dealerships do a lot of custom banner ads that are, co-opable and things like that. We really, get into a really good message. We're getting into, maybe the current OEM incentives, $0 down, $199 a month lease on a Corolla, and so a lot of these ads will rotate. There'll be bright colors, because we're really trying to get their attention. Now, if you notice with this mobile app, a lot of it's at the bottom, right? So that's the other cool thing about app advertising, is that it's a lot less intrusive. I know when I'm scrolling through an article on our website, and all of a sudden this ad pops up and it kind of gets me, and I click on it by accident, I'm just going to X out of it, and then I'm upset because I'm like, you know what, you wasted my time by putting an ad in front of me that I didn't even know what it was. These ads are much, they sit at the bottom of the app, and if somebody wants to just play around the app and get their information, they never have to touch the ad. So when we get people to hit the ads, they're obviously a much more engaged shopper, and I think that's another great thing about mobile app advertising. And then finally, and you kind of end with this, is IP address targeting. Now, IP address targeting has been around for a while, And, I've heard both, positives and negatives of IP address targeting. Some of the things I heard was because a lot of it was cookie-based, you were actually, it was hard to find actual IP at, the devices inside those IP addresses. Well, there's now companies out there that actually do cookie-free IP address targeting that can allow you to get much more, much better results. They're much more accurate. You can find that type of thing. And, so what is IP address targeting? Just in its core, it's the process of targeting to specific households based on their IP address, their Internet Protocol address, and then you can target, on a one-to-one down to that specific household or any other physical location. So one of the ways that you can use IP address targeting is through home addresses. For example, let's say you want to, get a CRM data. You say, hey, I got a list of customers that I really want to talk to. Maybe they own Ford trucks, and I want to put a Ford F-150 message in front of them. So what they'll do then is they'll give the provider a CRM list of home addresses, and then the companies that out there that do this type of thing will actually run that list against the IP addresses and come up with a match rate. Typically it's about 50%, sometimes it's a little bit better, that type of thing. And then from there, you can actually then, set up the campaigns and start talking to those potential customers. And then the other way to do it would be through like targeting physical locations. Maybe you want to look at a convention center. Maybe you want to look at hotels. Maybe you want to look at, competitor stores, that type of thing. What they do then is they'll draw that same kind of geo perimeter around those locations. They'll find the device IDs, and again, from there, they'll look at the IP address and start serving ads. The difference really between IP address targeting and mobile, and say geo-conquesting or mobile GPS is one is using the mobile apps and the other one's using more the website display advertising. And display advertising has been around for a long time, but I think with using the mobile devices as sort of the starting point, you're going to get a much better customer and a much more, focused customer because of the message that you're putting in front of them. So that would be, kind of the things that I would say, as far as using mobile and trying to, turn those browsers, get in front of them. And it really comes down to when are you hitting these customers? I look at these three buying stages. I know there's other ones out there. I've seen as many as 6 or 8 different stages in the buying cycle. But really, consideration, stimulus, and then what I call the final buying moment comes. Some people call it the 0 moment of truth. These are the 3 most important. And if you notice in this graph, most of the dealerships, about 85% of all of their ad dollars is being spent in the consideration stage. And I don't necessarily disagree that that's a place where you need to be, because let's be honest, that's where people are doing that research. They're doing the comparison shopping, all the things I mentioned earlier. So as a dealership, you're constantly raising your hand going, hey, here I am, please think of me, I've got that inventory, whatever. And a lot of that is your third-party sites, your SEM dollars, just all the different ways that you can reach those consumers online. Display advertising, stuff like that. Now, the stimulus is actually kind of a newer stage, and that's, I think, where people, have started to kind of really look into, and that's when they've kind of come to your website, and now, are you providing them with, merchandising products or, different conversion type products to allow those customers to engage with you? And I think dealerships are slowly doing a better job. But, the biggest thing I'd say there is make sure that those widgets or those add-ons, those plugins are mobile friendly. I've seen it too many times where I've gone to a mobile site, clicked on something, and half the screen showing. It's because that vendor didn't worry about whether or not their product is designed for a mobile shopper. And then the last thing would be your final buying moment. And I think that's a space where a lot of dealerships really haven't dabbled into. I think that's where we as an agency really focus on some of our efforts is, hey, let's get people when they're farther down the buying cycle, let's get in front of them with your message, maybe something really aggressive that, really tries to get people to respond and engage. Because if we can get them to your website, that's half the battle, because now we can get them to a spot where maybe you can strengthen the information that you're putting in front of them. They can look at your inventory, they can cross shop, and eventually, talk to a sales guy and hopefully come over and buy a car for you. So those are the things that I would say as you move forward, look at those different stages and see where you're at. I actually believe that a lot of dealerships, that I see that are still sending third-party websites and they're on every one of them, you know, they're wasting ad dollars, because most of these shoppers are going to go to cars.com, and then they're going to go to Auto Trader, and then they're going to go to Car Gurus, and I think that you're hitting those same shoppers where, you know, if you can find the one that's doing the best for you in your market, the one or two of them, you know, move some of those ad dollars into other areas where, you know, maybe you can get a little more impact. So that would be part of the recommendations. And these are some of the suggested resources that I would, you know, and again, you can download this. So on my CarClick360.com website, I've got some, you know, blogs that I've written articles on, and I put those up on my website. I've also got a series called the Mobile Marketing Minute, and really those are all focused around, you know, trying to reach that mobile car buyer, and just give you little nuggets. They're about 1 minute long, give or take a few seconds in some cases, but they're really designed to just get you thinking about mobile on different aspects of your business. And I think read through some of those, I think, or listen to some of those, I think it'll also give you some other ideas. And I just put a couple of the websites where I've found some of the research information that I've done over the years, and you know, so again, you can go to those as well. So. So as far as some action items, I mean, again, every good presentation or webinar is, hey, what can I do to you know, take this and go with me? You know, I think first and foremost, make sure that your dealership's website is mobile friendly. Obviously, with the 92%, most of the people on this call today, you know, are there, but even people that are signed up that might watch this, you know, down the road, you know, really look at your VDP pages, look at your SRP pages, look at your, you know, service, you know, scheduling page. Look at all the different pages that you have on your website through different devices. Let me see it through an iPhone. Let me see it through an Android. Let me see it through a, you know, a bigger Android like a V20 LG, or let me see it through a tablet. You know, let me just see how it looks on all these different devices, because I want to make sure that I'm, you know, giving that shopper the right type of experience. And I think the last thing then would be just to analyze your current digital marketing strategies. You know, are you using a mobile-first strategy? Are you using too many of the same type of strategies? I kind of mentioned that. And then are you reaching that mobile car buyer across those multiple shopping stages? I think if you can answer those questions, and as you start to move and kind of, you know, ebb and flow your budget, I think you're going to find that you're going to get a lot of success and be able to win that mobile shopper. So with that, Eliana, I think we should open up for some questions and give away that prize.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you so much, Owen. All right, audience, if you have questions for Owen Moon about your mobile marketing strategy, send those questions in. We're going to get to them in just a moment. Before we do that, I'd like to direct your attention over to the handouts section of the GoToWebinar interface. In there, you're going to find two great handouts for you. They're available for immediate download. One, of course, is Owen's slide deck from today. So you can absolutely download that and have that as a great resource for you. Another one is a white paper that Owen has written on effective mobile geo-targeting. Great white paper. Again, download it now. Take the time to do it now. So what you want to do is look on your GoToWebinar interface, look for the word that says handouts. There's a little triangle next to it. Click on that. It'll open up, and there you'll be able to download one or both of those handouts until the end of this broadcast. So again, you have Owen's slide deck and you have that great white paper. If you have trouble downloading either or both of those, then please email me directly at eliana@dealeron.com, and I'll see how I can help you out. All right, I'm going to turn on my webcam now because I've missed you, audience members. And yeah, now we're going to give away a really great prize. So if you were here at the beginning of the webinar, then you heard me announce that our good friends over at CarClick360.com, they're giving away a sweet prize on today's webinar. That's right. One lucky attendee is going to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Such a cool prize. I mean, are you sure I'm not eligible to win this? Ah, darn it. Oh, well, anyway, you are. So all you have to do is get ready. Get to your keyboards. First one to write in the correct response to our giveaway question is going to be winning this awesome prize today. So I'm going to ask you before we get started, if you are a vendor, we love having you vendors on our DealerOn webinars. It wouldn't be the same without you, but we are going to ask you to kindly sit this out. We are trying to give away this prize to dealership personnel only, so we do appreciate it and look forward, of course, to having you on many, many more DealerOn webinars. But for right now, we're going to see which one of our dealership attendees is going to be winning a $100 Amazon gift card. I love when people try and guess what the question is and they're trying to guess the answers already. All right, good luck, everyone.
True,
Here
false,
we go.
right?
No. Here we go. Good luck, everyone. Yes, hashtag vendor lives matter. Very nice. Thank you, Greg. Okay. Okay, here we go. Good luck, everyone. Now, during the webinar, Owen talked about two different types of mobile GPS marketing strategies, geofencing and geoconquesting. So the question is, what is another word for geoconquesting? Oh my goodness, who is this?
I tried to say it a couple times. So.
Yeah, Big Purple Gorilla is incorrect, Hal, but thank you for playing along. But David Sharp, oh my gosh, you got it right. Geoframing, that is correct. David Sharp.
Hey.
David, as I like to call him, Sharpie. You are correct, sir. Yes, you have won yourself a very valuable $100 Amazon gift card. Go crazy.
Consolation prize.
These people are writing in the funniest things to me. You should say, Amy. How dare you? Okay, Amy. David, tell me again what dealership you're from. I know I should know this by now by heart, and of course I don't. I'm so sorry, sir. Elliott Auto Group. Thank you very much. Elliott Auto Group. I will need your mailing address just in case, because I'm not exactly sure how Owen's going to be sending that Amazon gift card out to you. But send me a mailing address. And of course, audience, I know we had a cool prize today, and only David Sharp was the winner. But you know what? We give away cool prizes every week. So come on back to another DealerOn webinar, and that might be the day that you win a great prize on the DealerOn webinar. But for right now, we're going to congratulate David Sharp from Elliott Auto Group, and of course, we got to thank our good friend Owen Moon for his incredible generosity. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Thank you very much. I know, I caught it the second time, Amy. Thank you. You're trying to make me laugh. All right, we have a handful of great questions. If you haven't gotten in your question yet for Owen, now's a great time. Let's get that question in. Now, Owen, you heard me before talk to you about the comment and question that Nate had made. So let's revisit that now, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely.
So Nate had said, data we've seen shows that less than 10% of buyers fill out forms or make contact with a dealer before visiting. Now that's really interesting data. I'd like to know where you saw that data, because that's not the data that I've actually seen, Nate. So I'm curious where you got that data from. But let's say that you're correct. So given all the tech that you talked about, how do you recommend measuring the effectiveness of these campaigns, given that most may not convert on the website?
Well, you know, again, it comes back to it is tough. I mean, there's no doubt that with a lot of digital strategies these days, it's very difficult to give that 100% attribution. So one of the things that I would just highly recommend is looking at that media mix and kind of seeing how your traffic is coming in through your analytics across all your different strategies. Because when you're selling cars, when you're getting those phone calls, when you're getting people coming in, it really does come down to the media mix that you're using. Now, if you can, you know, some of the geo conquesting and geofencing products that are out there, you can actually track devices to the dealership level. So, you know, that gives you another, I guess, a layer of analytics to say, hey, so many of these people that clicked on the ad that engaged with me ends up showing up at the dealership. So there are some different ways that you can do that. But, you know, again, another thing too is just to really look at your mobile website, your mobile strategies within the website to see if you can increase those. Because I've seen, you know, the national average is 1 to 2%. So, you know, if you're getting 100 visitors to your website, you're getting, you know, 1 to maybe 3 at the most leads. But I've seen different conversion tools get put into place where that can get up to 5 to 8 to 10%. Like you said, 10%, I mean, that's a really high number. So you must be doing some really good things right there. But at the end of the day, you just can't change consumer behavior, you know, tremendously. They're going to either get the information and show up, or they're going to make a phone call. And a lot of times it comes in how it shows up in your CRM as well. I've seen a lot of people where it just gets defaulted to the very first thing on their CRM. So sometimes it's the CRM data actually not giving you the right information that possibly could. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you so much. Nate, if you have a follow-up question, please write on in. We'd love to help you out some more, okay? Okay, a couple more questions, then we're going to be closing out the show. Next question, sir, comes to you from Greg. Greg says, Owen, would you please clarify the difference between business and household IP addresses? I was under the impression that household IP addresses change with each time I access the internet. Is that correct?
You know, I'm not 100% sure on that, but what I will tell you is that what we've seen and what I've seen with some different companies is that they're not actually using the IP address from the dealership. They're actually finding the device from the dealership, and then they're matching that back to an IP address at their home. So it's not that they're using the IP address from the business, it's that they're actually using it to identify the IP address at the house. Now, if you're doing geoconquesting or mobile apps, you're not using, you know, the IP address at all. You're using the actual GPS of the phone. So, so you might be right. I don't 100% know, but it's not how either of those strategies actually calculate. Now, if someone's trying to obviously find a device at the dealership using an IP address, and that's constantly changing, that would make it very, very difficult. So.
Uh-oh, what's that?
I don't know. It's off now, though. I've never seen it before. So.
Okay, so Greg wrote back and he says, thanks, Owen. A lot of confusion on my part around this. I got to do more research. Thank you, Greg, so much for your question.
Just to kind of say, yeah, that's the thing, man. You know, there's a lot of information running around. You got media companies, you know, running around trying to, you know, sell different products and things like that. And there's so much misinformation out there that I think it really is important that you, A, do your research, and B, maybe get with a vendor or a consultant that can, you know, kind of help, you know, navigate through those waters. So.
Now, Hal followed up with a comment. He said he believes that Greg's question asked relates to residential service, which typically uses dynamic IP addresses, which do change periodically. So thank you, Hal. Thank you for writing that in for us. I appreciate that. All right, let's move on. Oh, Greg says thanks, Hal, too. Okay, so let's move on. A few more questions just came in. All right. Today's winner, David, wrote in, he says, do you need a mobile app to do geoconquesting?
No, not at all. And actually, that's another, you know, thing that I talk to dealers a lot, and they get misinformation. These apps they're the apps that I showed you that are like AccuWeather, ESPN. They allow advertisers to advertise. Have you guys ever been on Pandora and seen those ads come popping in? You know, you can get into those networks. You've got to have a little bit of volume going through there. You know, you can't just call to the dealership and say, hey, I want to advertise on AccuWeather. They're not going to do it. But if you can get on those different apps and get your ad out there to the right person, that's really what geoconquesting is. So yeah, no, mobile app would be more of like your own mobile app. That would be more of that geofencing approach, where, you know, somebody comes onto a competitor store or onto your dealership, and you throw them a notification. You know, maybe even just and you don't even necessarily have to do it as a geofence. You could just do it with, hey, we're having a deal at the dealership this weekend, some sort of an event. Maybe it's an orphan puppy event or something. Everyone loves puppy, right? So.
Okay, great. All right. Okay, wow. A lot of comments came in about this IP address thing.
Okay.
My goodness. Okay, first of all, David says, good deal. Thanks so much. So, David, I'm hoping that you're going to try out a geoconquesting strategy soon, and let us know how that happens and if it works out for you. Okay, let me see. Scott wrote in. He says, IP addresses do not change. There are some variations, but it's very easy to target their location. This is how government and law enforcement programs can locate someone who's using their computers or mobile devices for illegal activity. Now, I have to admit, I agree with Scott. I don't think IP addresses change, but I also know something else. Next week, we are going to have on The Beard and the Hair, Greg Gifford and Sean Rains. And I know for a fact that Greg Gifford is going to know the answer to this question. So I want everyone here who is not sure about IP addresses and is really worried about this whole IP address thing to come on next week, and let's bombard Greg Gifford,
Absolutely.
the guru, on all of this. And I know for a fact he's going to have this answer. Now, I agree with Scott. I don't believe IP addresses change. I believe that they are specific to a certain computer that's on the net. But you know what? Greg Gifford's going to be able to tell us all which one of us is right. Okay.
Well, and again, as I mentioned earlier, you know, it's not, a lot of times it's only about a 50% match rate. So it's not like you're saying, hey, 100% of these people are going to be matched anyway. So, it could be that that IP address did change because they got a new account. Maybe they went through a different provider. There's a lot of variables in there. So it's not a perfect science by any means, but it is a way that if you want to say, hey, I want to talk to people that in my CRM that just own Ford F-150s and put an F-150 lease payment in front of them, at least you get that one-to-one correlation at whatever level you can get the accuracy, right? So that's why I put that into this thing, because I think it is a strategy that people can use. You just got to make sure you get with the right vendor that has the right information and be able to rely on that guy's expertise. You know what I mean?
I agree. Oh, so just so you know, follow up. By the way, thank you, Scott, so much for your comments. By the way, Scott says, Owen is correct. You can actually change your IP address or use a program that gives you a different IP address every time you're online, hence the 50% match rate. Ooh, that sounds suspicious. Okay. And then, Greg, the person who actually, was the first person who wrote in about this, he says, I think the confusion is around IP versus ISP addresses. Possibly. Okay. Oh my gosh, another one. Timothy, hi Tim, he says IP addresses do change if they're not set to a static IP. Most households' IP addresses can stay the same for a long time, even as a static IP. You know what? I am loving all of this dialogue, but now I cannot wait for next week for one of you guys to actually ask Greg Gifford so we can put this one to rest, all right? So thank you all so much. By the way, if I could ask Hal, if you could write back into me, I have something to send over to you. And our last question, unless another one comes in real fast, comes in from George. George says, what are the 3 most important buttons or prompts to have on your front page of your mobile website, in your opinion? What kinds of calls to action would you, definitely need to see at the top of a mobile website? What would you think, Owen?
Well, I think that, and more I'm seeing this, but it wasn't always like that, is, the engagement buttons, right? Click to call, click to chat, click to text. I think those are because you're trying to get people to engage. I mean, it's never been a secret. I mean, if you get a lead at a dealership, it's like gold, right? It's like winning the lottery. We'll go back to that. But it is definitely the way that people engage and I guess, show the success of what's happening. So if you can get people to engage, use, the events, and you have a check right in your Google Analytics, you can actually see how that is affecting it. Now, with that being said, I do have some information, and you can email me offline or connect me offline on what I call high commitment, medium commitment, and then low commitment buttons. And I think what you should have is this may be more for the VDP page, but to have those commitment buttons, not all of them should be high commitment buttons. I mean, it'd be great if you did it, but I mean, those are kind of the ones where we're saying, hey, if they fill this out, they're probably a little more serious. You want to have kind of the high, the medium, the low, because the low one is maybe just kind of putting your toe in the water, right? I just need a little more information. I need more pictures, that type of thing. That starts the conversation. If you get that guy that's ready to go and he wants to hit that high commitment button, then you're hitting those. So I do got some things on that I think could be of value. So if you need any of that, just definitely reach out to me. You've got my email, or give me a call.
I think that's great. George, totally take Owen up on that, because let me tell you, I've known him for years, and I've always seen him at conventions, and he is very knowledgeable and even sweeter than you can even imagine. So, Owen, thank you so much for being here today. That was our last. By the way, George wrote in. He says, perfect. I'm always open to more information and more knowledge. George, meet Owen. Owen, George. There you go.
Nice to meet you. You got to do your research, right? You got to do your research.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for being here today. We hope you had a great time. We're looking forward to seeing you next week. I'm going to tell you about what's happening next week as well. Now, Owen, I think you did a smashing job on your very first DealerOn webinar. Thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you again soon, my friend. I know I'll be seeing you at Digital Dealer, because I know I'm going to be there. So I'm looking forward to it. So audience, I just want to make sure you understand he is going to be speaking at Digital Dealer. So if you want to know more about mobile strategies that you can be using, definitely check him out. And I will be there too, so I'm looking forward to seeing you as well. And yes, Owen, thank you so much. Yes, please go to the next slide. We will be sending you the link to today's recording. So look out for that in an email coming to you in a little bit. And yes, today's webinar recording is going to be posted online within 24 hours. Just go to DealerOn.com/webinar, where you can view our upcoming webinar schedule or access any of our past webinars too. And we want to know what you thought of today's presentation. So you're going to be getting a survey. It only has 3 questions on it. So please fill out the survey so we can find out what you thought of today's presentation. And yes, DealerOn's going to be exhibiting and presenting at the upcoming Digital Dealer Convention. We've got a great booth, and I'm going to be there. I'm actually hosting and moderating the Tech Tank this year, so I'm very excited about that. But we also have Greg Gifford and Sean Rains. They're both going to be speaking on different subjects at Digital Dealer, so make sure when you're there that you check them out as well. And please visit me at booth 305. Let's take a picture and do some social media together. All right? And invitations will be going out tomorrow for our next DealerOn webinar. And this one's got an interesting name, I know. It's called The Beard and Hair, Ask Me Anything. And if you take it and you take the first letter from each one, it spells out Bahama. I really like that, so I'm hoping everyone will show up in cute little Bahama shirts and hats. Okay, so the bad boys of automotive, they're at it again. DealerOn's very own Greg Gifford, the beard, and Sean Rains, the hair, will close out this summer's webinar series with a high-energy dual presentation on SEO and SEM. This outstanding one-hour webinar is a fast-paced Q&A format with these 2 experts will share detailed answers to all of your critical SEO and SEM questions. Attendees of this unique presentation will learn the latest updates in both AdWords and Google's organic search results. Greg will share the latest info on local SEO, what's changed, what's important, and how to optimize your site for better local visibility. Sean is going to cover pay-per-click, explaining how to optimize your digital marketing accounts and hold your vendors accountable. This webinar will have everything you need to know about SEO and SEM to close out 2017 strong. This is an hour of automotive awesomeness you can't miss. So mark your calendars as we end this summer's DealerOn webinar series on a high note with the beard and the hair, Ask Me Anything. That's right, it spells out Bahama. I know, I could get used to this, huh? So register now, and don't forget, DealerOn's weekly webinars are held Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding our webinars and our topics, well, we'd love to hear from you. So please track me down online. I'm everywhere. My name is Eliana Raggio. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Google+. I'm on all the automotive social networks. You know what, or you can just email me directly at eliana@dealeron.com. Thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today, and I hope to see you all on another webinar in our continuing education series. Take care, everyone.